Welcome to Lindemann Outdoors. Join Buckshot and Iceman Lindemann as they celebrate God's beautiful creation through fishing, hunting, and outdoor adventures. It's time to fill the freezer and enjoy the great outdoors the way it was meant to be.
Sounds like you're talking like this too much.
It's because I was talking like this in an intense voice to sound cool and weird on purpose.
You sound like you're Randy the Macho Man Savage. Oh, yeah.
I'm going for cheesy. I think I nailed it.
I think you need to re-record that thing.
Nah, it's good. It's good.
It's not good. Your voice is too quiet. It's like you can't hear your voice enough, and there isn't enough. I don't know. You need to rework that a little.
Okay. Well, we'll work on it the next time. I'm gonna keep this in because that's good content.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, folks, we're talking
back and forth between the Kool-Aid Man and Randy the Macho Man Savage.
Oh yeah.
Boom! Just jumping right through your wall with an outdoors podcast.
Did you know that they finally confirmed that the Kool-Aid Man is the jar and not the Kool-Aid in the jar?
No, really.
That was a big debate, apparently, that I didn't know existed.
What?
He's the jar. He's not.
He's the pitcher.
Yeah, he's the pitcher. He's not the Kool-Aid.
He's not the Kool-Aid inside that was just formed by the pitcher.
Yes, he is the pitcher himself.
Well, I'll be.
Kool-Aid came out with that, and they announced that he
Kool-Aid
is.
came out this year.
Because every morning he takes a shower in the commercial. He fills himself up with water. Then he goes to his closet. And instead of clothes, he just has different flavors. And he pours them in.
I feel like grape today.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what he did.
Wow, I have no idea.
Yeah.
For all the, how do those commercials, does that reach across the generations, the Kool-Aid Man? Does Gen Z know the Kool-Aid Man?
I think everyone knows the Kool-Aid Man. I think that's a universal thing.
Everyone knows the Muffin Man, but mostly because of Shrek. But,
Shrek 2 is the best Shrek in the world.
There's not Shrek.
Shrek 2 is probably top 5 movies for me of all time.
Some of you will die, but
that's Shrek 1.
It is Shrek.
That's Shrek 1. That's Farquaad.
I love that line of some of you will die, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. What are you up to today then? They're Buckshot.
Working in the studio, but I got some things working, some stuff in the background. Yeah, people will be interested in the future.
You got some questions for me today? What are we going to talk about?
Oh my gosh. I wasn't recording.
No.
But I do have the audio. I have the audio going, so I have audio. I just don't have the video. So we'll start.
That's good.
So I can start the video.
Our faces are the least important part of this podcast.
Anyway. I'll have that, hey, you can see us now. I'll have that audio going with just the logo for a while.
Yeah, that's all right.
That's okay.
So here we are.
We just got done talking about Kool-Aid Man.
And Shrek.
If those of you who are listening, we'll just re-say it. Kool-Aid Man is the pitcher. He's not the liquid. He's the pitcher. It's been confirmed.
Blew my mind. Blew my mind completely. I thought all this time that he was just like almost like a Jello jiggler, just walking around, just Kool-Aid in liquid form.
Every morning he picks a different flavor. He pours it in the top.
Yeah, that's just crazy. That's crazy town.
But the thing we're talking about today is what to do if I want to go fishing on a new lake. Never fished before. I heard there's good fish here. Someone told me, old wives' tale rumors, whatever. Coffee shop, overheard some old guy talking. There's big walleyes in this lake. I don't know how to fish there. I'm going to this lake. What do I do? So I have some questions. I'll play the person who wants to know, and you can answer the questions.
Got it.
So, I think this can apply to both beginners and like seasoned professionals. I mean, everyone's fished a new lake, and some
Hmm.
might know what to
Hmm.
look for, and some might not.
We're
You
fishing
know,
new lakes all the time.
exactly. And I think like the first thing to do is like, what prep should I do before I go? Before I leave the house, what should I do when I want to fish a new lake?
Well, number one, you have to pick what species of fish you're going to go after. I mean, that's important because different types of fish will live and eat in different types of area on that lake. So, what type of fish are we going after?
Let's say someone said that there's just jumbo big walleyes in this lake.
Hmm. Was that my email that just dinged?
It could have been my email. Who knows?
Interesting.
We're busy people.
We are. So, anyway, it's probably a question from a listener. Um, so there's someone tells me, all right, there's this lake, there's giant walleyes in there, I want to go catch them.
Yep.
So, one thing that I would do is before I go there, you can go, a lot of times you can go online, depending upon what state you're in, and you can look up this lake on the internet. A lot of the game and fish and parks websites will have information about the lake, what type of fish, if the lake has been stocked or not. A lot of times they'll have lake maps on there, which are very, that's extremely crucial to picking out a spot to fish. There's apps for your phone you can get. There's Navionics, there's Hummingbird. There's different apps out there that have different lake map chips. Always, like I say, stop into the local bait shop and check on this lake, and they may tell you where to go on the lake. So, I mean, that would be probably step number one is I would research this lake a little bit before I go there. You know, try to get the word of mouth from the bait shops, try to get some information online about the lake. Maybe I'll buy a lake map or an app for my phone so I can see the depth contours. That's a big thing is at what depth are the fish hanging out at, and then morning, evening versus midday. So, breaking in the old days before we had all that stuff, we would just have to drill holes. And sometimes you'd go fish that lake in the summertime so you could learn where structure was and the layout of the lake. So when you went back there ice fishing, you could go fish those spots. So,
And speaking of structure, you say that. How do I know? Like, just say it's winter. I'm getting into ice fishing, first time really fishing. I see the lake in front of me. It's not a huge lake, so it's walkable, four wheeler,
sure.
whatever.
Yep.
What are some key things I can tell just by standing on the lake itself? Some good areas to maybe go.
I like to fish off of points. If there's a point of land that juts out into the lake, that's always a good spot to fish. I like those. Sometimes back bays will have fish. A little bay that's off of the main lake or maybe out in front of that. Maybe there's a stream or a river that comes into that lake. Fish like to hang out in front of those. You can look for, and this is why species is important because, like a walleye is a predator fish. So they like to ambush their prey. They'll lay in the weeds and wait for the smaller fish to swim by or the minnows to swim by. They like hanging out by rock piles because there's crayfish and there's bugs and there's bait fish by those. Same thing with a freshwater stream or a river coming in. You gotta be careful when you're ice fishing to make sure it's not thin ice. But in the spring or the summertime, there's fresh water coming into that lake, and a lot of time there's fresh food coming with it. We have a couple spots that we fish out in front of these little creeks or rivers
Yeah.
that come into these lakes, and it's a pretty good spot to fish. Weed lines, so you gotta think like a walleye does. They like to ambush their prey. They're not like I think a pike probably swims around more looking for food versus a walleye. I think a walleye will relate to structure, and then he'll use it to his advantage, along with the time of day. They're call them walleyes for a reason. They see better in the dark because of their giant eyes.
You know.
So,
So if we're talking walleye,
yep.
let's say this lake is pretty clear, but not like glass clear. What tackle, baits, lures, jigs, plastics, live bait? What do you think is like a good, just general basis to bring?
Well, I would bring two rods with me. I'd have one set up with a bobber on it, like a slip bobber, and that may have just a plain hook and a split shot, which a split shot is a weight just to put on your line to keep it down. I would just have one plain bobber rig set up, or I would just put a minnow on there and just let him swim around down there. And on the other rod, I would put a jig on there. Either, you put my two favorite jigs on this sweatshirt that you designed, which I wish you wouldn't have, but whatever. Give away all my secrets, it's fine. This is my favorite jig of all time. This one, orange and chartreuse, you can't beat those colors as well. Pink and white, gold, anything, just a jig where you can put a minnow on the hooks here, jig them up and down, about 6 inches to a foot off the bottom. You're gonna catch fish.
Okay. So when you say hooking up a slip bobber,
Yep. Yep.
how are you hooking your minnows so they can swim around down there? What's your
Oh,
go-to?
how I hook the minnow?
Yeah.
I like to hook them, kind of in the center of the body, just behind the dorsal fin, and I try to make sure I don't hit the spine. So you just kind of get it underneath there where they can still swim. They got a good tail action still, and they can swim around a little bit. I like to put about halfway. Usually a fish will come and hit that minnow head on first. So that way when he sucks that minnow in, you got that hook about halfway in the body. Usually that gets into the fish's mouth pretty good. Talking with my hands there.
So another thing is like, let's say you have all the equipment in the world.
I do.
Let's say you have the Garmin Live Scope, you have, Vexlar, you have Deucers, you have the Lake Master chip. On the pro side of things, like you have all the professional equipment. What are some things that you look for in a lake that can tell you where the fish are going to be instead of just going out there and drilling a bunch of holes and looking around?
Well, you can look on the map of the Lake Master maps, and you have that app on your phone. A lot of them will show, depth contours. Here, let's pull up Leech Lake just for fun. We're gonna pull up Leech Lake.
I'll pop up a big picture of Leech Lake right here.
So here's dyslexia.
Yeah.
So here's Leech Lake. Well, you see that nice point coming out there? And
Yep.
you see where the blue contour lines kind of meet that deeper water?
Yep.
That's a good spot to fish, I would say. And
Okay.
especially as we zoom in a little.
Yep. And Jeremy will take screenshots for me, and I'll put them up here with arrows that he's talking about. So take a
Yep.
screenshot of that.
So especially this deep water point that comes out into this basin here. I'm going to I'll send you that. That would be a good spot. I would check out, looks like as you're looking into this, you'll see there is, so here on the map, there's a hump that comes out. It's
Okay.
that blue is shallower and that's deeper water and the white all the way around it.
Yep.
Well, I would be exploring all the way around the edges of that thing. There's going to be fish on that piece of structure. A lot of times, this is something people don't know, on this structure, and you can kind of see it there. See how the lines are further apart at the bottom? Because that would be
Yep.
the south side.
Yep.
Well, the glaciers came from the north. So
Yep.
on a lot of these lakes, those rocks and stuff, it's going to be more jagged and more rough on the north side because that's where the glacier pushed up the rocks.
Okay. So where would you want to fish? Did you want to fish north or south?
I would probably fish on the south side And then maybe if I was going to fish the north side, I'd fish on the edge where it got deeper.
Okay.
But you just have to kind of check around there, and that's where you know, like some of the other sonar you were talking about comes in handy. You could drill a hole. If you have a live scope, you can look to see where the fish are, how they're relating to that structure. And then if you mark some fish, you can go over there and drill some holes, and then you'd go over there with your Vexlar, and then you would just start trying to jig those fish up, see if you can catch them. I've had a few times where I've drilled a hole and I looked with my Vexlar. I looked at my lake map. I'm like, okay, I'm right on top of the rock pile. I drilled a hole. I put the Vexlar down. I'm like, geez, there's fish down there right now. You've been with when we've done that.
Yep.
Drop the jig down to them. Boom.
Yeah.
Catch them. Reel them up. It's that simple. There's no. People think there's a lot of ice fishing. There's not a lot of tricks to it. It's more, once you get your tackle set up right and you're using, if you got real clear water, you got to have monofilament line. You got, like a fluorocarbon.
Explain what that is.
Fluorocarbon it's a line that disappears when you put it in the water. It almost becomes see-through.
Yep.
It's transparent. They can't see it. It doesn't give a shadow. Sometimes if you're using a braided line, like a fire line or something, you can see that line, and it'll spook the fish. It just doesn't look natural. Where like a fluorocarbon leader, that lure will look like it's just floating there. It's a more natural presentation. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to look like a minnow or something good to eat just swimming along on the bottom. So it's, once you get your setup down, and like a lot of my rods, I'll run a braid and then I'll tie a little tiny swivel on there, and then I'll run like a couple foot long fluorocarbon leader. So just for a little more finesse stuff. And sometimes you don't need it. Sometimes, heck, you could have a piece of yarn down there with something tied on the end of it, and they're going to hit. It just depends on the mood of the fish.
Yeah.
So
I think that's, this all kind of reminds me of the first time we went to Lake Winnipeg, and you found just like a little bit of structure, and we're like, well, let's just go here in the morning, and then we'll bounce around throughout the day. And you were still drilling. This was, I think, what was that, like 13, 14? I was pretty young. First time we went up there. And you're like, you just start fishing. I'm going to drill holes. I'm going to check depth with the Vexlar. And that's how you kind of pinpoint the spot, And
spot on the spot.
Yeah, the spot on the spot. And we got lucky the first time because, well, you were still drilling holes. I remember all of a sudden I was just catching fish one after another. And I'm like, geez, these hammering. And I was just using a nice gold buckshot, which is just great for any walleye. I think usually gold's such a good color anywhere. And you were like, I remember I was like, hey, what's the limit? You're like, oh, it's, what was it, like 6 apiece then?
6 apiece.
Yep. Yeah, like, oh, so we're gonna have 12? And you're like, yeah. I'm like, how do you have? I'm like, I have 10. And they're like 10, 18, 19 inches, just perfect eaters. You were pissed at me because I caught all our fish for the day. You didn't even get a rod in the hole. You're still checking depths.
It's a strong word. I wasn't quite that upset. I was like, let me catch some of these fish. But
one thing I learned growing up with you is there's no letting us win as kids.
No.
No matter what sport, no matter. I'm going to tell this story.
It doesn't do any good to just let you in.
No.
Well, you don't learn anything.
These people had a deer problem, and we had a lot of extra doe tags, so we were going to go help them out and help us out, fill the freezer. And, he goes up in a tree. I was pretty younger at the time, so he sets me in this kind of like makeshift ground blind we made, and there's a trail, it's just like a sidewalk for these deer through the woods. And all of a sudden, I see 4 deer coming by, and I'm like, here we go. I'm going to get one. They're coming right at me. And this has happened multiple times, by the way. I have many stories of times that he's screwed me over on a hunt or a fishing trip.
Never.
These 3 deer, come by, and I get my bow ready. I attach my release. I'm, trying to catch my breath and trying to make a good shot on one of them. I go to peek up, all of a sudden I hear, he shot 3. of the does. Big group of does came by, and we had plenty of tags that year. It was that was way back when you could have like 3 deer apiece, and
5.
yeah, it was five. It was something crazy like that, and
Hmm.
shoots all three of them. I see two drop. The other one ran a little farther. That one we found it later. And the hunt was over. It got dark, and didn't even get a chance. But I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Well, you know, I don't know what to tell you. The deer just come to me for some reason. This is how it works.
I mean, you could have let one, maybe sneak by or
It wouldn't
something.
have, it wouldn't have mattered. It would have ran.
Uh,
Well, and I thought it was pretty early in the evening too, so I thought actually more deer would come.
yeah.
So that's why I was like, well, we'll just shoot these three. And
Yeah.
one of the reasons we got to hunt there is we had to shoot deer. We actually ended up losing that property because we weren't shooting enough does off of it, and the guy wanted us to shoot more does than we could legally have, and I was like, well, I can only shoot a couple. And
Yeah.
then he started letting other people hunt there, and I think they were willing to break the rules, and we were not, so we
Yeah.
lost that farm, which is fine. But
But, I think, people think you need to go out and bend the rules. You don't. You get plenty of deer.
you do not. No, you just same thing with fish.
Yeah.
People complaining about the limits. It's like, well, how many fish do you need? You don't need that many. Go catch your 4 fish, and you know,
I mean, when you make a fish fry, if you're eating, just say, like, small family of four, that's 8 fillets.
it's
And
yeah.
fish are pretty filling. I don't,
I usually figure 1 fish per person when doing a fish fry.
you know,
So there's a little tip for you.
that's true.
It's even
You
more
know,
important than breaking down the lake is how many fish should I make for how many people I have.
that is, yeah. And I think a lot of people don't understand, people learn that as they get into the outdoors. You know, what are, so I would say you're the fish fry expert. We've had many fish fries for many people. We've
Mm.
brought fish to people and done fish fries in different locations. What is your go-to fish fry recipe? What's your meal? What's your side dishes? Let's get into that because I think that's good to know.
Well, if I'm going quick and easy, I just get shore lunch. I'll
Yeah.
tell you a secret. You mix half original and half Cajun together, and it's fantastic. Um, you know, Too much of the Cajun, some people don't like that, but you mix just a little bit, it gives it a little spice. Just make the shore lunch. I'm kind of traditional. I like especially in the summertime, I like, the deep fry. You cook it in a deep fryer, so you bread it and you fry it. Fry your fish. You just fry it till it's golden brown. Meat will come out white and flaky. It's done. When you break a piece open, I like baked beans with it. I like deviled eggs. Jacob can't have eggs, but thanks.
More.
But yeah, but anyway, we won't talk about that. Um, but you got to have some toast, maybe. You got to have some watermelon.
I was gonna say your Caesar salad, man.
Got to have a good salad to go with it. Caesar salad or just a regular.
Are you gonna gatekeep that Caesar salad recipe, or are you gonna?
Yes.
Okay, I was gonna say you didn't give much,
Yep.
ingredients in this fish fry description.
Like people go out to eat. Oh, I want a chef salad. Chef salad is called "What do I have in the fridge to throw on this salad?" It's nothing
Mm.
fancy. It's what do we have left over. So, the other night I cooked up a bunch of fish. I actually used the beer batter, shore lunch beer batter, and then I made fish tacos. Now, you take your taco shell, put some sour cream. We got this from our good buddy Scott Johnson.
Mm.
But I actually use so you put sour cream down in your lettuce and your cheese, then you put your fish down. There's a bunch of different fish taco sauces people make. Some use like a cucumber sauce, some use like a sweet chili sauce. I like just plain sweet and sour sauce like you get for your egg rolls when you get Chinese food. That seems to be my favorite. But you can put whatever you want on there. But fish tacos are really good. You know.
Ooh, I you know I think I've only had fish tacos like after the day of fishing. I don't know if they're just insanely better because you were fishing all day, or they're just that good. I think they're just that good.
They're that good.
Yeah.
So, that's it's a nice part about fishing is you're out there just getting your own groceries. So yeah, you deep fry the fish tacos. You can bake the fish. You can put those on fish tacos. You can eat it plain. Throw it in a glass baking dish. Throw some butter in there. Put some tin foil on it. Cook it at 20 minutes at 350. Comes out white, flaky, delicious. You're feeling fancy. You sprinkle some cheese on there. Maybe a little potato chips across the top. Make it crunchy. A little
I
garlic
think people
salt.
don't understand how actually good like that dish is. And
Mm.
I made it for my family and my college roommates, and they're like, what are you doing? Like I'm putting Lowry seasoning salt, a little bit of butter, in a glass baking dish, and I'm baking it until it's
Mm-hmm.
flaky, and that's
Mm-hmm.
it. That's all you have to do, and it is
Yep.
amazing. I
Yep.
mean, it's
Some people
healthy,
don't
but
like they don't like the breading, so they don't
yeah,
like, or they don't want to deep fry it. Well, there you go. Get yourself some grass-fed butter if you're going to be a health nut, and
you know,
throw that fillet in there and just let it bake.
and the people who don't like fish, clearly you just had it wrong. And I think everyone says that, but like
Mm-hmm.
we've had some picky eaters, extended relatives and friends who are like, I don't know. And we tell them
Little
it's chicken.
kids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tell them
Oh,
it's chicken strip.
these are chicken strips. They're like, oh, this is fantastic.
They have like 10 pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the benefits when you break down those lakes. You can figure out where the fish are, and then you actually catch some. Then you get to clean them and eat them, and it doesn't get much better than that, really.
Fresh fish is so good.
Yep.
I mean,
So
we
yeah,
I was gonna
we're
say,
heading. What's that?
well, stop interrupting me, first off.
I didn't hear what you said.
Well, I was trying to say something, you kept talking, so
First of all, this is why we have to do this podcast remotely, because otherwise we'd start fighting on film. I'll give you
yeah,
one of these.
we wouldn't get much done. I was gonna say today, as we're recording this, but you'll see this next week because we record a week in advance, just for you, so you never miss out on this beautiful content that we create.
Oh, it's
Um,
gorgeous.
no, it's amazing. It's some of the best in the world.
Mm.
It's up there with Joe Rogan show. Cam Haines run shoot lift thing.
Kool-Aid man putting different flavors of Kool-Aid into his body to make him a different color that day.
What? They just made this clear out to the world. He's in the shower, and then he like pours a bunch of water in,
He
and he
takes
goes
out
and
his
opens the
packet.
closet. It's like all the flavors. He's like, today I'll be blue.
Mm. I do a lot of that myself.
And the best part is he took one
Hmm.
of those old fashioned like vibrating machines with the belt
Ah,
of like the gym equipment, and he
just shake.
stands in there and he gets shaken up, and the Kool-Aid mixes in, and then he's that color for the day.
I feel you, Kool-Aid man. I feel you.
What is your favorite Kool-Aid flavor or color? Because
Oh, it's grape, hands down.
grape.
Yeah, by far.
Yeah, I think grape's the best flavored.
Every once in a while we get crazy, we mix we
Mm,
make
that's
tropical
secret.
punch and grape together. Yeah, it's
You know,
our secret magic drink. But
that's some good stuff. My college roommates told me I need to stop drinking that because I was turning purple or something. They,
gives you superpowers.
you know,
They just don't know.
it's some good stuff. It goes really well with a chocolate chip cookie.
Strangely enough, it goes well
Strangely
with it.
enough,
Goes well with everything. But
that's
you know,
that's true.
we're just some rednecks that live out in the woods, and you
Yeah,
know.
gotta make that well water taste a little fruity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It makes it better.
You know, So back on to what we were saying before we got in the Kool-Aid talk. As of today, when we're recording this, I will be driving down south to go ice fishing, and in the
Yeah, we're
northeastern South Dakota area. What is our plan? Tell me what we're doing.
well.
What should I
That's
be
up.
expecting?
Well, that's up to you. I'm trying to decide if we're just going to go where we've been killing them because the fish are biting. We're actually kind of people are. As I talk to everybody here, the locals are expecting the fishing to slow down a little bit because we got a cold front coming in next week. So that might be this weekend might be the best weekend to fish here because we got this front coming, and then it's supposed to get cold for a little while, and then I would say at the end of February when it warms back up, it's just going to be lights out. But
Oh,
the perch are starting to bite, the walleyes are biting.
explain that in the cold front thing. That's another thing we could talk about. New to fishing.
Well,
Explain fronts and fishing. 'Cause I think
sure.
that's a big topic.
Fish seem to me, I think the fish bite the best when they've had some stable weather. It just has to stabilize out. But if you get a new weather system moving in and you have this barometric pressure going up or down, or if it's high pressure, sometimes that shuts the fish off. Now, sometimes it can turn the fish on to bite, but a lot of times it'll shut it off if it's gonna, if you got a cold front moving in, it'll shut them down for a few days till they adjust, and finally they just get hungry enough they got to eat. So sometimes if you're not catching fish, it could be weather related. It just could be, you got a cold front moving in, or you got sometimes some of our worst days on Lake of the Woods is you could look out and you would see that kind of low hanging clouds off to the north. It's like, oh, we got a little front there. It's just kind of hanging there and moving, and of course you could tell by the fishing that they were just sluggish.
Finicky.
Yep. So hopefully the fishing will be good. I think we can put you on some fish, but yeah, it depends what you want to do. We could go. We could go exploring. There's so many lakes around. We could go try a new lake. I thought about maybe doing some tip-up fishing for big walleyes. We could.
That could be fun. Mm-hmm. Some things to think about on my drive.
Yeah, we can use the live scope to find the weed edges and find that like that one weed edge where we caught that. We had Evan with us and we caught that he caught that big walleye.
Yep.
So
Speaking of the live scope, do you want to tell the world that you're now just a bandwagon?
but I bought a live scope. It's there's haters out there that just, I understand it, but at the same time, it's like, well, I basically saved up for 2 years to get one, and
It's the times.
it's just once you see one in action, it's really it's a game changer. It really
Yeah.
is. And it isn't just for, you can't make the fish bite. I think that's a misconception out there. Actually,
Yeah.
what it will do to you is it'll make you even more frustrated because you'll see how many fish actually swim by you that you don't catch.
Yeah.
You really only catch like one out of every 10 fish that come by.
Yeah.
We saw schools of walleyes going by, and a lot of them weren't interested.
Yeah. I think that's what's kind of thing people don't understand is like with a flasher, a Vexlar, Humminbird, what have you, you're only seeing what's kind of directly below you, and it's got a wide cone, but sometimes you'll see a blip and it'll be gone, and you're like, well, they just weren't that, you didn't really know what that fish was, but you can see it come in from the fish way over here, and then look at your thing, and go no, and then go back down and keep swimming.
Yeah,
That's worse.
the way it goes.
Yeah, and you can
We
watch
had
it.
we had fish come in, like you said. They came in and they looked at this jig. No, they went to the next one. No,
Yeah.
looked at everyone. No, back
That's
out they go.
No.
They just weren't feeling it.
Yeah.
And that's worse. So these people will think, "Oh, you got a live scope. It's cheating. You can catch every fish." It's like, no, it's no different than your Vexlar when, as far as the catching the fish goes.
Yeah.
It's
You
the
still gotta
exact
do the work.
you can see the fish and you're jigging them, and actually it's a little harder because there's a delay
You
between,
know.
there's like a half a second delay. So as you're jigging it up, you're not seeing it in real time. That's why a lot of guys are just using the live scope to look at the structure of the lake, find where schools of fish are, see how fish are relating to structure, and then once they find a spot, they're setting up with their Vexilar
You know.
because it's more real time and it's more accurate of where that fish is.
You know.
Yeah, the live scope allows you just to kind of see what's going on down there, which is
Yeah. And you can kind of see how the fish are reacting to your lures, and
yep. You
if
can.
one's a little too aggressive, you can see it's kind of avoiding that one, or
Hmm.
something's really interested in that one. Maybe it's you're getting closer to the right color or the right size or what
And
have
when
you.
those walleyes that commit to bite, they usually come in like they're fired out of a rocket launcher. I mean,
Yeah,
they
you
just
don't even
come
need a
in.
Vexilar.
They're gonna hit anything the way they come in. I mean, they
Yep.
come in like a rocket. I don't think people realize how fast they can swim and get your lure when they want it. Um, so it's. I mean, I get it. There's haters out there. Don't hate me because you ain't me. Type of deal. But at the same time, you know, if fishing is something that you really love to do and it's where your passion is, well, it doesn't take long to, bring your pack a lunch to work every day. Um, you know, don't waste all your money on the weekends out in the bars. I don't want to get up here and preach, but it's just kind of it's about priorities. And I understand there's people out there just working hard and they just can't afford it. Good news is there's companies now that are making more affordable ones.
Yep.
So I think pretty soon that technology is going to be cheap enough that just about anybody will be able to afford it. You know, and if you can't afford one, well, don't let that bother you because you're not missing out as much as you think you are. Just get out there and go fishing and do your thing, and don't think that that's you know going to ruin your experience any because it's not. You'll catch plenty of fish.
Yeah.
You know, just doing what you always have done. You don't need it to catch fish.
No. I think just like we kind of talked about, like studying, topographical maps, like you show, and we'll pull up that photo back up, of just showing the lakes and learning how fish like to live, like like how walleyes, they're like you said, they're an ambush predator. They like to find points and weed beds where bait fish will
Yep,
come
rock piles.
across and they can attack them.
Exactly. And that's how you got to set up. It's more about the spot on the lake than it is, what you're doing. Fish will hit a lot of different lures down there. There's no magic lure.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
that's
how long on Lake of the Woods did we fish until we're like, okay, we know 5 spots that the fish are gonna be biting? Like,
20 years.
yeah,
I mean, your whole life. I mean, it's
we've been figuring that lake out.
yeah. And now we have some go-to spots that are, somebody wants a good spot to fish, you can hit us up and DM us on Instagram, and we'll put you on fish.
Yeah,
You know,
we're not
but
gatekeeping that anymore. We don't live close enough.
and even when we do, I have enough. I
Yeah,
mean,
there's
my
enough for
top
everyone.
my top 10 spots, my top 15 is just as good.
Yep.
We got spots we'll put you to. There's enough pie for everybody out there, is my saying now.
Yep.
Everybody can win. Everybody can. There's enough for everyone. That's why we're doing this. We can help people. I want people to catch fish and want them to have a good time. And, the outdoors is, I wouldn't be where I am today without it, So it's pretty much, I don't know what, like I said it before, I don't know what I'd have if it wasn't for, if there wasn't hunting and fishing, I don't know what I would do.
I
So,
guess you'd have to try out golfing or something.
yeah, that wouldn't be good. That wouldn't be good. I don't quite have the. See, I played too many years of baseball, so
Mm.
I just want to swing too hard for golf. That's my problem. I can't get that. I can't unlearn that baseball swing. I spent too many years to be able to send a baseball into the next county. So it's just a. There was to me when I was a kid, there was nothing greater than hitting a home run. So that's all I wanted to do. So
Yeah, and I just got hit in the head too much playing football. So
we all have, Jacob.
yeah, we'll see how long until the CTE kicks in. But I think I got a good 20 years left till that starts kicking in.
Well, that's why we're doing podcasts and we're not out there, building rocket ships for Elon. So,
Yeah,
we're out here catching walleyes and showing
killing deer.
people how to, killing
Yeah.
deer. And, you know, so, like I said, there's enough out there for everybody. You just got to go find your thing.
Yep. Well, folks, I'm now gonna do something cool here. We're gonna start doing this now. We can start talking about the intro, and I already have a button for it. Isn't that cool? Upgrades, people. Thanks for watching. Go out there, fill the freezer. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace, everyone.
Isn't this the outro?
Yeah, that's what I just did. We just did the
Oh, I
outro.
thought you said intro.
No.
Oh, outro.
Also, comment down below if you like the intro or not. I like it. I think it's good. He's a
Play,
hater.
play the outro again.
The outro?
Yeah, play it again.
That's how we kind of wrap up. Okay, we'll end it there, folks. What is this episode?
Yeah, it's craziness.